A wide shot of the Providence courtroom. Muted light filters through tall windows. The quiet hum of the ceiling fan echoes faintly, calm before the storm. Across rows of people, traffic violators, parents, teenagers, waiting for their turn. The usual mood, mild nervousness, until the silence is shattered by a trembling, angry voice. "You don't understand! None of you do!" The entire courtroom turns. A 15-year-old girl, thin, pale, in a faded denim jacket, stands beside her mother. Her cheeks are flushed, her fists clenched, and her eyes burning with both rage and pain. "Excuse me, young lady, could you say that again?" The girl's mother, Maria, looks horrified. She tugs gently at her daughter's sleeve. "Please, Emily, don't. We'll talk after." "No, Mom. I'm tired of being quiet." "I'm listening. What is it that I don't understand?" "You're about to fine my mom for speeding." "But do you even know why she was speeding?" Her voice trembles between anger and tears. A few seconds of silence. The question hangs heavy in the air. Caprio exhales slowly, adjusts his glasses. "Well, I'm here to listen. Tell me why." Camera zooms in on Emily's face. Her eyes glisten. That look of a child who's been holding back too much for too long. She takes a deep, shaky breath. She wasn't speeding for herself. She was speeding for me. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Caprio's pen falls silently on his desk. His eyes narrow slightly, concern washing over his face. "For you? I didn't want to come today. I told her it was unfair. But when I saw you sitting there, judging people like they're just tickets and fines." She pauses, tears welling up. "I had to say something." The mother hides her face in her hands, ashamed, but Emily continues. "It's all right. You can speak freely here." Emily wipes her eyes roughly, trying not to cry. "I know she was wrong, okay? She was speeding, but it wasn't because she didn't care. It's because she was trying to get me somewhere important. She didn't even tell me she got the ticket because she didn't want me to feel guilty." "Caprio, Emily, it takes courage to speak up, but I need you to tell me, where were you both going?" Emily looks down, twisting her fingers nervously. Tears slip down her cheeks as she finally answers. "Emily, to my therapist. I have anxiety, and I was having a bad day. She was just trying to help me get there on time." Her voice breaks on the last word. "Caprio, Emily, thank you for telling me that." He glances at the mother, who's silently crying now. "Caprio, and sometimes those stories are heavier than the law can measure." Emily, "So, you're not mad at me?" Caprio, "No, I'm not. I've seen anger before, but yours isn't anger. It's pain trying to speak, and I'm glad it finally did." The tension fades. The camera pans over the silent courtroom. Everyone reflecting, eyes moist. Caprio leans back slightly, glancing at the case file again, then at Emily. "Caprio, let's take a short recess. I think this case needs more heart than paperwork." The courtroom lights dim as Emily sits back down beside her mother, clutching her hand tightly. Her shoulders relax, for the first time since she entered the courtroom. Sometimes, the loudest voices in the courtroom aren't seeking justice. They're seeking understanding. The gavel sits untouched on Judge Caprio's desk. The courtroom is silent, still echoing from Emily's emotional outburst moments ago. Judge Caprio straightens in his chair, his tone calm, not judicial, but fatherly. "Caprio, all right, let's begin again, shall we?" He looks toward the clerk and then at Maria, Emily's mother, a woman in her early 40s, worn down by exhaustion, but holding herself with quiet dignity. "Caprio, ma'am, your name is Maria Thompson?" Maria, "Yes, Your Honor." Caprio, "You're here for a speeding violation. 40 miles in a 25-mile zone near Lincoln Middle School." Caprio, "All right. Before we discuss the details, would you like to tell me what happened that day?" Maria exhales shakily, glancing briefly at her daughter, then back at the judge. Maria, "Yes, Your Honor. I was driving Emily." Caprio, "You mentioned earlier that you didn't want to come here today. Why?" Her voice is small now, the anger gone, replaced by vulnerability. Emily, because I thought you'd just treat her like everyone else, like she's some bad person, but she's not. She's just tired. Caprio, you love your mother very much, don't you? Emily nods, wiping her cheeks with the sleeve of her jacket. The judge smiles softly, that calm, reassuring expression he's known for. Caprio, I can tell. You stood up for her even when you were scared. That's bravery, young lady. Not everyone has that. Close-up of Maria trying not to cry. She mouths silently, "Thank you." Caprio leans back, scanning the paper in front of him, then lowers it slowly. Caprio, you know, I've seen hundreds of speeding cases in this courtroom. Some are careless, some are angry. But this one feels different. He pauses, looking between the mother and daughter. Caprio, you weren't just racing against time. You were racing against something much heavier, weren't you? Maria, yes, I was. Caprio, tell me about that. Maria takes a deep breath, her hands trembling. Maria, my husband left 3 years ago. It's just been Emily and me since then. I worked double shifts at a diner to pay rent and cover her therapy. That morning she had a panic attack before school. I couldn't leave her like that. Caprio, ma'am, I understand. Truly. Maria, I told her to breathe, but she couldn't stop crying. The appointment was at 9 o'clock and we were already late. I didn't even realize I was speeding until I saw the lights behind me. A pause. The hum of the air conditioner fills the silence. Caprio, Emily, do you know what your mom said when she got pulled over? Emily, no. Caprio, she told the officer, please, I just need to get my daughter to her appointment. She's not okay today. Emily's lips quiver. She looks at her mother, then back at the judge, stunned. She didn't argue. She didn't make excuses. She was just scared. For you. Tears roll down Emily's cheeks. Her mother reaches out to hold her hand. This time, Emily doesn't pull away. Emily, I didn't know she said that. Caprio, now you do. Sometimes love doesn't shout. It speeds quietly on an empty road, just trying to reach someone on time. The audience, silent, moved. One man wipes his eyes. Even the officer by the wall lowers his gaze. Caprio leans back, sighing. Caprio, this is why I don't rush judgment. Because behind every case file, there's a story like this. He looks down, tapping his pen gently. Then he looks up, his tone gentle but firm. Caprio, Maria, you're technically guilty of speeding. But guilt doesn't always mean wrongdoing. A hush falls again. Everyone listens. Caprio, the law says you broke a rule. But compassion says you were just being a mother. He pauses, letting the words hang. Caprio, and in this courtroom, compassion counts too. Maria sobs quietly. Emily leans into her, whispering something inaudible. Caprio waits a moment, then says gently, Caprio, we'll get to the verdict soon. But before that, Emily, I want to hear what you feel now. She looks up, her face red and swollen from crying. Emily, I feel sorry, not for being angry, but for not realizing how much she's been doing for me. Caprio, that's a lesson even adults forget sometimes. He looks at both of them. Caprio, court will take a brief pause. Some stories deserve a few extra minutes. Soft piano plays as the camera pans from the bench to the mother and daughter embracing quietly. Behind every fine, every case, every file, there's a heartbeat. And sometimes, the smallest mistakes reveal the deepest love. The camera pans across the courtroom. Sunlight filters through the high windows, creating soft beams that touch the faces of those present. Judge Frank Caprio sits silently, hands folded, eyes filled with empathy. Maria, the mother, gently strokes Emily's shoulder. The little girl stares at the floor, her small fingers gripping the edge of her dress. Caprio. Emily, you said something earlier that I can't stop thinking about. He leans forward slightly. You said your mom's always tired and that you're angry because of it. Would you tell me why? Emily's lips tremble. She glances at her mother, then at the judge. Her voice comes out shaky, almost a whisper. Emily. Because she never smiles anymore. Caprio. She doesn't smile? Emily. Not like she used to. She used to sing while making breakfast. She used to dance with me in the kitchen. Now she just wakes up, goes to work, and comes home late. She doesn't even eat dinner with me anymore. Maria covers her mouth, tears threatening to spill. Emily. I thought she didn't love me like before. I thought maybe she was mad at me. That's why I was mad too. A tear rolls down Caprio's cheek, almost unnoticed. He takes off his glasses and sets them on the desk. Caprio. Emily. I think I understand something now. He pauses, turning toward Maria. Caprio. Maria, can you tell Emily and the court why you've been working so much lately? Maria nods, struggling to compose herself. She takes a deep breath, turns to her daughter and speaks softly. Maria. Sweetheart, I work extra shifts because of you. Emily looks up, confused. Maria. Your therapy sessions, the medicine, the doctor visits, they cost a lot. I didn't want you to feel that pressure, so I never told you. I thought I was protecting you by not letting you see how hard things are. Emily's eyes widen. Tears begin streaming down her face. Emily. For me? Maria. For you, baby. Every single late night, every tired morning, every extra hour, it was all for you. Her voice breaks. I didn't mean to stop smiling. I was just trying to keep us alive. The courtroom is silent, except for the faint sound of crying. Even the bailiff lowers his gaze. Caprio looks down for a moment, pressing his hand to his chest, visibly moved. Then, slowly, he speaks. Caprio. Emily. Sometimes love doesn't look like smiles. Sometimes it looks like tired eyes that stay open just to make sure you're okay. Maria. I know, sweetheart. It's okay. It's okay now. Caprio lets them have their moment. His eyes glisten. He wipes them discreetly but doesn't hide his emotion, because this is what makes him human. Caprio. I've sat here for decades, and I've heard stories of pain, of struggle, of love. But this reminds me why I believe in second chances. He looks around the courtroom, speaking now not as a judge but as a father, a grandfather, and a human being. Caprio. This mother didn't break the law out of carelessness. She broke it out of love, a desperate kind of love only a parent can understand. Caprio continues. Caprio. And this young lady, she didn't speak out of disrespect. She spoke out of pain. Because sometimes children don't know how to say, I'm scared. So they say, I'm angry. He pauses. The air feels thick with emotion. Caprio. I'm not just judging a case today. I'm witnessing love, raw, messy, and real. He looks at Emily again. Caprio. Emily, I want you to promise me something. Emily. Okay. Caprio. Promise me that from now on, every time you feel angry, you'll try to ask yourself if maybe it's really just sadness in disguise. Emily, quietly. I promise. Caprio smiles gently, the kind of smile that carries both relief and pride. Caprio. Good. Because the world needs more kids who feel deeply, not less. He leans back, taking a long pause. Caprio. I'll make my decision soon. But before that, I want to say something not as a judge, but as someone who's also been a parent. He glances at the courtroom, his voice firm but trembling slightly. Caprio. When you see someone struggling, remember, they might be fighting a battle you know nothing about. And sometimes, love doesn't shout. It just keeps going quietly, even when it hurts. The room is filled with silence, the kind of silence that only comes after truth. Maria wipes her tears. Emily holds her hand tightly. The camera zooms in on Caprio, his eyes glassy, his lips trembling slightly. Caprio. We'll continue with the verdict shortly, but I think we've already heard the most important truth today. The sound of the gavel echoes softly as Judge Frank Caprio adjusts his glasses. The courtroom has quieted down after Emily's tearful confession. Everyone seems to be holding their breath. The mother and daughter sit close together, hands intertwined. Caprio looks at them for a long time, the papers in front of him untouched. His eyes are heavy with thought. You know, he pauses, glancing at the clock on the wall. I've been sitting in this chair for many years. I've heard excuses, I've heard lies, but what I just heard wasn't either of those. He turns to Emily. What I heard was truth and love in its purest, most painful form. A murmur runs through the courtroom. Emily lowers her head shyly. Her mother wipes her tears with a tissue that's already soaked. Caprio leans forward. Caprio, Maria, you came here today because of a traffic violation, a small ticket. But what unfolded in this room, it wasn't about a fine. It was about family. He takes off his glasses and sets them gently on the desk. Caprio, I saw a little girl trying to understand her mother's silence. And I saw a mother who's been breaking herself apart just to keep her child's world together. Caprio looks down at the ticket in front of him. He holds it up for a second, then lowers it. Caprio, this piece of paper means nothing compared to the lesson we've all learned today. The courtroom is utterly silent. Only the faint hum of the ceiling fan can be heard. Caprio, I've often said that this court is not just about punishment. It's about understanding. And today, understanding is exactly what we found. He glances at Emily again. Caprio, you showed courage, young lady. You spoke from your heart, and that's something even adults struggle to do. Emily sniffles, but smiles faintly. Caprio turns to Maria. Caprio, and you, Maria, you represent so many single parents who carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, quietly, without complaint. You may have broken a traffic rule, but you've kept something far more sacred intact. Love. Maria can't hold back her tears now. She nods, whispering, Thank you, Your Honor. Caprio. The court finds the defendant guilty of caring too much. A ripple of laughter moves through the room. Soft, emotional laughter that breaks the tension. Even Emily giggles quietly through her tears. Caprio. As for the fine, it's dismissed. Maria gasps. Emily turns to her mother, her eyes wide with relief. Caprio. But I do have a small order for both of you. He leans forward, speaking softly. Caprio. You know, sometimes the hardest battles we fight are not in courtrooms or on streets. They're in our hearts. The ones where love meets exhaustion, where duty meets despair. Caprio. And when a child like Emily reminds us what really matters, it makes all of us remember why we're here. He places a hand over his chest, sincerely moved. Caprio, I want to thank you, both of you, for reminding me that justice without compassion isn't justice at all. He taps the gavel lightly. Caprio, case dismissed. With love. Maria kneels beside Emily, hugging her tightly. Emily whispers something inaudible, and her mother laughs softly through tears. Caprio watches quietly, a faint smile on his face. He takes a small handkerchief from his pocket and wipes the corner of his eye. Outside the courthouse, Maria and Emily walk out hand in hand, the sunlight warm and golden. Emily looks up at her mother. Emily, can we get pizza, Mom? Maria, only if you promise to dance with me after. Emily nods eagerly. Deal. They walk off, their silhouettes fading into the soft afternoon glow. Capri, sitting alone in his courtroom. The seats are empty now. He leans back, gazing at the doorway where the mother and daughter left. A faint smile forms on his face, mixed with a kind of melancholy peace. Caprio, in the end, it's not about fines, or laws, or rules. It's about people, their struggles, their stories, their hearts. He looks down at his desk, then glances toward a framed photo of his family. Caprio, and maybe, if we listen long enough, we'll find that love, not judgment, is the greatest verdict of all. Caprio. Sometimes, the most powerful words come from the smallest voices. He glances at the empty chair where Emily had sat earlier. For a moment, it's as if he can still see her. Small hands clutching her notebook, eyes filled with courage and innocence. Caprio lets out a quiet sigh. Caprio. How many cases have I heard? Thousands, maybe more. But every now and then, one of them stays. He pauses, reflecting. Caprio. That little girl. She reminded me of something I'd almost forgotten. He opens a drawer in his desk and pulls out an old photograph. Him with his own children, decades ago. His hair darker, his smile younger. He runs a thumb over the image, lost in thought. Caprio, voiceover. When my kids were little, I used to tell them, no matter what happens, tell me the truth. I can forgive anything but silence. But as life went on, as work got heavier, as the days got shorter, maybe I forgot to listen as much as I used to. The camera pans slowly around the courtroom, showing empty benches, papers stacked neatly, and the faint dust floating in the sunlight. Everything feels peaceful, sacred. Caprio. That's what Emily taught me today, that sometimes people don't come to court for forgiveness from the law. They come looking for someone to hear them, to understand. He smiles faintly, looking toward the door. Caprio. And maybe that's what justice really is, not punishment, but understanding. Outside, the courthouse steps. Emily and her mother walk hand in hand, the afternoon sun shining behind them. They stop by a small bakery. Maria buys 2 slices of pizza, exactly what the judge suggested. They sit on a bench nearby, sharing it, laughing softly. A street musician plays a soft tune on his guitar. Emily looks up at her mom and says, Emily, when I grow up, I want to help people too. Like Judge Caprio. Maria smiles tearfully. You already do, sweetheart. They sit quietly, the bond between them stronger than ever. Inside the courtroom, Caprio stands up, stretches slightly, and walks toward the large window overlooking the city. He looks out, people crossing streets, cars honking, children walking home from school. He speaks softly, almost like a prayer. Caprio. We all carry burdens, some seen, some invisible. But when someone takes a moment to listen, even for just a few minutes, it can change everything. He looks at his reflection in the glass, tired eyes, a kind smile, a man who has seen too much of life, yet still believes in its goodness. Caprio. I've realized that every person who stands in front of me has a story. Some come with anger, some with regret. But beneath it all, there's always pain and love, fighting for a place to breathe. He takes a deep breath, still gazing out the window. Caprio. If I can give them even a moment of peace, if I can make them feel seen, then maybe that's enough. Caprio. This gavel doesn't just decide fines or dismiss cases. It carries the weight of people's lives, and every tap reminds me that behind every mistake, there's a story that deserves compassion. He smiles faintly, tears forming in his eyes. Caprio. And maybe that's what I'll remember most when I finally hang this robe. Not the laws I enforced, but the hearts I understood. The world feels heavy and kind at the same time. Caprio. We live in a world where everyone's in a hurry, to judge, to blame, to move on. But maybe what we really need is to slow down and feel. Caprio. Because sometimes a single act of kindness can echo longer than any verdict. The camera slowly pans in on Caprio's face, his eyes glistening but peaceful. Caprio. So if you ever find yourself standing before judgment, remember this. Compassion is not weakness. It's the truest form of justice. He gently sets the gavel down for the last time. In a world full of judgment, choose to listen.